After Volcaris was defeated, everything seemed to have ended. But among the charred ruins that remained, the meteorite core suddenly cracked open, revealing a strange black light. Not darkness, but inverted light. This light made all unconscious creatures close their eyes, turn away, or flee in extreme fear. From the middle of that beam of light, a form began to appear, as black as compressed smoke, without skin, without fur, just a heavy and desperate presence. Wings sprouted like crushed crystal, sharp and unstable. It was Noctyra, the awakened one, a creature born from what should not exist. But Noctyra was not an entirely new being. When the meteorite struck the ancient lake region in the east, the deepest part of the earth, it awakened the forgotten soul of the nine-tailed fox, once the guardian of a sacred well of wisdom and peace. Noctyra was once the guardian spirit of knowledge, as quiet as morning dew. But when the meteorite crystal seeped into the sacred well, that soul was not burned. It was twisted and contorted. Wisdom was distorted into obsession. Light was inverted into illusion. And from then on, the pure soul transformed into a phantom, taking the form of black smoke, a spiritual being that no longer believed in the natural order, but only craved to rebuild the world according to its will. A whisper crept through the wind from the east. Light does not save. Light only deceives. Since the meteorite explosion, the night forest was no longer a peaceful place to rest. The night winds that blew through the forest now carried whispers, not loud, not clear, but enough to tear apart the silence in the mind. Creatures could no longer sleep. Dreams did not come, or if they did, they were only chains of distorted, haunting illusions. A pair of silver eyes appeared in every dream, unblinking, not looking straight, just floating like a trap opening up. Under Noctyra's influence, all dreams were gradually seized. A young deer threw itself against a cliff after many nights of panic. The birds of the sky fell into complete silence, as if their songs had been stolen. Forest snakes crawled in a trance, no longer recognizing earth or trees. Noctyra didn't need to rush forward. It quietly clung to the dream layer, the weakest point in a creature's will. It gradually consumed memories, extracted every ray of hope, broke every piece of identity. And with each soul drained, its black smoke body grew a little larger. Its crystal wings glowed a little brighter. Lumenus, looking up at the silver moon, also began to feel himself being pulled into a cold dream, where the sky had no stars, only a vague call echoing in his head. Forget. Let me replace all memories with a new truth. Early one misty morning, when the sun had not yet dispelled the last shadows of night, Lumenus encountered a familiar figure standing motionless by the shallow lake. It was Kael, a forest wolverine who had once fought alongside Lumenus against Ereburn. But now Kael's gaze was empty, as if someone had taken the living flame from his eyes. Back hunched, legs trembling, but Kael showed no fear, because he no longer remembered who Lumenus was. "Who are you?" Kael asked, his voice thin as a thread, silver light flickering in his eyes like a reflection of something alien. Lumenus stepped back. This was no longer his old friend. Kael began repeating a phrase, like an echo from deep within. "I used to be, but no more. I used to be, but no more, Iamon." Lumenus sensed the strange energy surrounding Kael, a soul torn apart and carelessly stitched back together. This was not merely injury, but erasure of identity. Through the disjointed whispers, Lumenus gradually understood. Noctyra didn't simply devour life, it swam backward through memories, ransacking each image, each concept, each emotion, then twisted, crushed, or replaced them with empty illusions. It turned memories into traps, and when a soul no longer recognized itself, the body became just an empty shell that could walk and talk, obeying the one who had replaced its memories. Lumenus looked at Kael one last time before he stepped into the lake on his own, as if called back to an inescapable dream. In Lumenus's heart, a new fear was kindled. Not fear of death, but fear of forgetting who he was. The eastern sky suddenly trembled, black light gathering into a twisting shape in the clouds. Noctyra was spreading its wings, preparing to step deeper into the layer of reality. Luminus understood this battle was not just to protect the forest, but to preserve the memories and souls of all living things. Luminus flew eastward, where once stood a sacred well, now just a dry ash pit covered with black meteorite crystals. In the hazy mist, ancient fox statues stood broken in half, silent as if weeping. This place was once a meditation ground for wise souls, and Noctyra had been one of them. According to the blind white owl, the nine-tailed fox spirit of the sacred well was once a symbol of timeless wisdom, appearing only in ancient legends. It did not fight, did not roar. It only listened, observed, and guarded the memories of all creatures. But when the meteorite fell into the well, the inverted light pierced through the deepest layer of that soul. Noctyra wasn't erased, it was bent. The wisdom that was once its foundation had now become a weapon, sharp, cold, and cruel. Noctyra didn't act out of hatred, but from a distorted absolute logic, that this world was merely a meaningless loop of memories and pain, and all identities were illusions. In the whispers echoing from the depths of the well, Luminus heard a voice both familiar and strange. Those who remember are those who suffer. So, I only need to make them forget. From the sky, a dense black smoke condensed into form. Noctyra appeared, crystal wings like floating glass blades unmoved by wind, silver eyes boring into Luminus as if to strip bare his deepest thoughts. You suffer too, Luminus, Noctyra whispered. You remember too much. And because of that, you are weak. Luminus did not answer. He knew. Noctyra was no ordinary enemy. Defeating it would not come through strength alone, but through the courage to hold on to one's identity amidst wavering memories. The sky began to crack with silver fractures like a spider's web, signaling that the boundary between reality and illusion was gradually disappearing. The coming battle would take place within the mind itself. Luminus rushed at Noctyra, but the air around it suddenly shattered like glass. No collision, no sound, only a long slide into an empty space, where time fell silent and colors vanished. It stood in the middle of a distorted version of itself. Withered forest, ash-covered sky, and another Luminus waiting on the opposite side. The other wolf resembled it down to every silver hair, but its eyes were no longer bright blue, instead pitch black and soulless. You know what this is, don't you? Noctyra's voice echoed from everywhere. No longer a whisper, but a cold narration. Not a dream, not an illusion. This is the other self that you once denied, the one who thirsts for power, who would tear everything apart to avoid being abandoned. The other Luminus roared, a roar without light, only emptiness. It charged forward, claws like rusted iron, eyes filled with hatred. Luminus dodged the attack, but each collision didn't just tear into skin. It turned over memories. Moments of weakness, times of fleeing, times when it let others suffer in its place. Luminus's heart wavered. You are not as good as you think, Noctyra said. I didn't create darkness. I only opened your eyes to see it. Luminus roared, not to contradict, but to acknowledge Fubam, and in that roar, another light began to flicker. Not to deny the other self, but to overcome it. The sky was torn by inverted streaks of light, not blinding, but cold as blades. Noctyra descended to the ground, crystal wings spread like two scythes. Each step it took turned the earth beneath to ash. But Luminus did not back down. The silver wolf had gone through illusion, overcome the darkness within itself. It no longer fought to protect honor or seek revenge. Now Luminus fought to preserve existence, for all the creatures silently fading away because they could no longer dream. Noctyra laughed, a sound that echoed like wind through an empty well. I am the light that was rejected, the wisdom that was abandoned. And you, Luminus, once begged for that light when you were forgotten by heaven and earth. Luminus did not respond. It gathered itself, blue eyes blazing, not resisting the rain of crystals pouring down, but collecting them, channeling that light toward itself, dissolving it. In the final moment, Noctyra saw what it could not understand. A creature that didn't deny darkness, but accepted it as part of its being, then transcended it through will. The entire sky flashed one last time, then silence. When the dust settled, only wolf footprints remained, leading toward the horizon. and the small creatures began to dream again.